Coming up at 11, at least 15 people were killed in an attack in New Orleans. Latest into the investigation.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Amelia Lee. In New Orleans, the death toll in what is said to be the deadliest car ramming attack in U.S. history has risen to at least 15 people. The FBI says it is searching for possible accomplices in the New Year's Eve day attack that also left dozens injured. The assailant was shot and killed moments after the incident. That is raising new concerns about the threat of terrorism. CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdez is in New Orleans with this report.
The FBI says the man who rammed a pickup truck into a crowd celebrating the new year in the heart of New Orleans may have had help carrying out the deadly attack. The attacker has been identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old Army veteran who was born in the U.S. and lived in Texas.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
The incident is being investigated as an act of terrorism.
After hitting the crowd, he exited the vehicle and fired upon local law enforcement.
Responding officers returned fire and the man was pronounced dead at the scene. The FBI says a black ISIS flag had been flying from the rear bumper of the vehicle, an electric Ford pickup truck that appears to have been rented. President Biden addressed the nation Wednesday night after receiving additional briefings from his Homeland Security team.
The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, and whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
In New Orleans' French Quarter, a street security upgrade was underway, but not yet completed.
Whatever the problem was, is going to be solved.
We had barriers there, we had officers there, and they still got around.
Police had positioned a cruiser along Bourbon Street after the city temporarily removed protective barriers designed to block traffic. Nicole Valdez, New Orleans, Louisiana.
President Biden also noted the explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on Wednesday, killing one person inside the vehicle. He said investigators are probing to see if there's any connection to the attack in New Orleans. He says so far there's nothing to report at this point. President-elect Donald Trump has also been following the developments in New Orleans and responding on social media. Trump weighed in on the New Orleans attack on Wednesday, saying his heart is with the victims. He added, quote, "The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil." This morning's attack has event planners across the country concerned about safety ahead of dozens of events planned throughout the year. WYMT's Grayson Passmore spoke with a Lexington event organizer who says they start creating their safety plans a year out.
As the city turns 250 years old, there are many reasons to celebrate in Lexington this year. But as organizers plan events, promise to be bigger and better than ever, they've also had to put in place safety measures to match.
There's always a chance that something doesn't go the way that you plan it, but part of what you plan for is when things don't go the way they're supposed to.
Organizing the St. Patrick's Day Festival, Megan Maloney says they've worked with law enforcement and city officials to create a safety plan for this event for the past year.
And we know that our partners in public safety, Lexington Police, Lexington Fire, and the city Parks and Recreation staff are going to do everything that they can to make it safe, not only for participants, but for all of those who are coming down to enjoy it.
An increase in police presence is only one of the measures that will be in place.
Everyone looks at road closures and some of the parking restrictions that come with special events sort of as an annoyance oftentimes. But a lot of that really is part of a security plan to make sure that festival goers, that parade participants are all safe during those events.
Because Maloney knows people also need to continue celebrating the events that matter to them.
It's important to carry on some of those traditions. It's also very important for us to make sure that those events are put together in a way that people who come to them can feel safe.
In Lexington, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
A New Year's Eve a celebration took a tragic turn in Honolulu, Hawaii, after a massive explosion caused by what appears to be illegal fireworks left at least 3 people dead and over 20 people hospitalized in critical and serious condition. First responders raced to the scene around midnight at a home on Keaka Drive. Officials say 2 people were pronounced dead at the scene. The official death toll has since risen to 3. However, police sources increased the count to 4 and say it's expected to grow even more.
Well, we were much cooler today as compared to yesterday. You recall, to round out 2024, we were in the 50s and 60s. Today, a different story. Had temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, low 40s over towards London, Harlan, and Middlesboro. Somerset was the warm spot at 41 degrees. And right now we're seeing temperatures in the 30s. We're hovering right around freezing from top to bottom. Feels like temperature, though, a little bit of a bite in the air. It feels like temperatures in the 20s. So here's live pinpoint Doppler radar, maybe a stray shower or 2 over towards portions of Lawrence County as well as Wayne County in West Virginia. But that's it in terms of any type of precipitation. As we go throughout the next several hours, we'll see temperatures staying in the 30s. We'll go around freezing around 6 a.m. 27 will be the overnight low. We'll go to the upper 30s with cloudy skies as we go into the noontime frame. But all eyes are on this weekend. There's a lot of moving parts that we need to talk about, and we'll talk about that in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Amelia.
All right, Eric, thank you. Kentucky lawmakers return to Frankfort next week for the 2025 session. The 30-day session means lawmakers have a tight time frame to work on legislation, and since it's a non-budget year, they're unlikely to fund new initiatives. Republicans, who overwhelmingly control the House and Senate, are expected to make cutting the state income tax an extra 0.5% their top priority. Often around this time of year, we pause to reflect back on some monumental moments. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says he is already thinking about how to keep the momentum moving forward. In 2024, Kentucky garnered national attention. Beshear says 2024 is a year of growth. He also says in this next legislative session, he hopes lawmakers tailor changes to draw more people to call the area home.
We've broken our export record, meaning we're now global. People are looking up to us instead of looking down on us. It is a good time for Kentucky.
The Commonwealth saw a record-breaking year for exports, with more than $40 billion in products shipped. The new year brought big changes to Kentucky, and we want to remind you of some of them. One of those changes is the legalization of medical marijuana. Qualifying patients will be able to apply for a state registration card starting today. People with cancer, chronic pain, epilepsy, chronic nausea, and PTSD are some of the conditions covered, though registering does come with some guidelines. The Bureau for Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives says you cannot own or buy a gun if you register to get medical cannabis. 48 dispensaries are allowed to operate across the state. A new law impacting vaping businesses in Kentucky has also taken effect. House Bill 11 was designed to keep vaping products away from kids, and it sets fines for businesses who break the law. But some say there is a lot of unintended consequences with the law, and those enforcing it could put some out of business. Also starting today, drivers looking to renew their driver's license in the Commonwealth might need to check in with an optometrist. Prior to this change, drivers only needed an eye exam when initially getting their driver's license. Now drivers will need to complete the driver's vision testing certification form or pass an exam at the DMV at the time of their license renewal. A real ID is a requirement for some people in the U.S. this year. It's a new type of driver's license that lets people fly in the States. It will also allow access to certain nuclear power plants and federal facilities like courthouses. The change goes into effect May 7th. Well, the start of a new year means more people hitting the gym to tackle their resolutions. One Eastern Kentucky gym owner says it's not about how much weight you lift, but how often you show up. Paul Hughes, owner of Ascend Strength and Fitness, says January is always a busy month. But the secret to achieving those fitness goals is not in quick fixes. It's in staying consistent.
If you can stick to it, you'll get there. You're going to have to tweak your diet, tweak your training, tweak your sleep to make everything happen for you, but it really just comes down to consistency.
Hughes says the key is starting small and staying committed. With the right mindset, he believes anyone can turn a resolution into lasting results. Some people are ushering in the new year with a new you mentality, slowing down from indulging in adult beverages. WYMT's Phil Pendleton stopped by West 6th Brewing in Lexington to talk to patrons about the trend of a month of no booze and how you can still support local businesses without drinking alcohol.
At West 6th Brewing in Lexington, there's a lot of choices on tap. And during dry January, non-alcoholic beverages are an option too. This one launching on New Year's Eve called West Fizz.
Non-alcoholic seltzer flavored with hops. So you get that nice kind of big, earthy, grassy, kind of bitter notes that you get from beer.
Bill and Bethany Kissick are trying out the new product. The couple's hobby is experiencing different craft beers, but they're testing the non-alcoholic waters and considering participating in dry January.
Between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, like if you're getting together with people, socializing a lot, there's a lot of, usually a lot of alcohol and stuff, and so you're kind of just trying to get kind of a restart, a refresh.
Emily Bugay joined Dry January 2 years in a row, but she's sitting this one out. Her strategy is long-term moderation.
I felt like it was more beneficial to be mindful the whole year than just focusing on 1 month.
Family physician Dr. Jeff Fox says in the short term, refraining from booze provides better sleep, lower anxiety, and decreased blood pressure. But he warns dry January is not suitable for heavy drinkers.
Cold turkey can be dangerous. It actually can be fatal in some cases. You can go into withdrawal, so you need to be a little bit careful about just cold turkey. Gradual decrease is probably better.
The Kissicks are celebrating their wedding anniversary and a new year with the toast in non-alcoholic fashion. In Lexington, with photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Dr. Fox says long-term alcohol consumption impacts the chances of getting certain cancers.